Okay, you have to put your phone down because you're also ADD. This is fun just sitting here. Time of my life.
All right, well, welcome to week 2
Joel,
of our February.
we have to start filming this. Why would we start if you're doing all this?
And then we've got some reading from the New Testament each day.
Why are you doing all of this right now if we push record? How does it make any sense?
Okay, let's go.
Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Spilling the Chai Tight. I do that every time.
We're spilling Thai?
And we're spilling Thai. Spilling the Chai Tea podcast with Britt and Joel. I'm not even giving you time to say your name anymore. Because every time you mess it up, oh, do you need to go somewhere? You're already like looking at your watch and looking at yourself.
That was rude.
So we tried something last week. We attempted to bring the 4-year-old in.
It was great. I loved it.
It was a crap show.
No.
I think it was the most chaotic episode we've ever had.
By the way, you didn't get the memo? You got fired. Emmy's supposed to be sitting there.
She did tell me as I was walking in here, she was like, why are you recording? Like, why am I not recording? And I said, well.
It's a good question.
Do you want me to leave?
I mean, you said it.
You're so rude. Anyways, goodness, we're back. And I thought it would be really fun if we talked about some more unconventional stuff.
No.
A couple weeks ago, we talked about unconventional things we do in our marriage that that works out well for us.
Yep.
Right? I thought today we could actually dig into unconventional things that we do in parenting that work out well for us.
Okay.
And I mean, I think they work out well for our kids. Our kids probably wouldn't agree. If you kids are watching, I don't care.
And if you are our kids' friends that are watching.
We're talking to you guys.
We're talking to you.
What are you going to tell them?
Be nice. Okay.
Oh, yeah, be nice. Why?
Do
I still fight a child?
No.
I'll fight a child.
Just be nice kids.
Oh, okay.
Being nice in the long run always wins.
I like that advice. That's good advice. Okay, so here it goes. Let's first preface. I said preference. Preface.
Yep.
With the fact that our childhoods looked completely different, right? So I'll start with mine. For most of like my actual childhood, I would say, like up until about 10, was just my mom. Mm-hmm. And so I was like raised by a single mom, which like I can kind of get, and this sounds ridiculous, I get like a little glimpse into that world sometimes, just obviously because of living it, but also like when you travel, like doing it all by myself, like when you're gone, I'm in like survival mode. Yeah. And I remember with my mom, there were seasons and many seasons where it was just survival mode. So like she was not a strict mom. Like I could truly, up until she married my stepdad, I could do whatever I wanted. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I had like my aunts and like my grandma was involved. Like my grandma was probably stricter than my mom was, you know? But for the most part, it was like, I could kind of do what I wanted. Not a lot of like micromanaging. Then I turned 10. My mom got remarried and my stepdad, I say stepdad just for like reference sake, but I don't call him that. He is my dad. He came into the picture and then it was very strict. Like I was not allowed to call boys. They had to call me. Like I think the rules just got stricter because he was really a first-time parent kind of coming into like a preteen, teenage daughter. Right. And so it got stricter, but still, I mean, in general, for most of it, I was very independent, did what I wanted. We didn't really have social media other than like MySpace, which I did meet a boy online on MySpace, and my mother, not knowing how dangerous it was going to let me meet him in person.
Oh, that's a bad idea.
I think we're actually still friends on Facebook, actually. So he was like a real person.
Right.
But interesting.
What is he, like 75 years old now?
Probably. Anyways, but that was like mine. Like I think that in general, like I had strict aspects, more just with boys, but like nothing else was strict. I could have social media, like MySpace. I didn't have a cell phone until I was like 16, but I don't think that was very abnormal back when we were younger. Yeah. Like I think it was still kind of like a specialty thing to have cell phones. I just used my friends all the time, and there weren't like games on it. Other than remember that little game that would go like this, and like a little ball would bounce back and forth. Yeah. I had that game. Yeah. When I got a cell phone finally. Yeah. What about you? Like, how would you say that you had a very strict childhood? Not very strict?
I think it was a combination. In some senses, it was extremely strict. Yeah. In other senses, it was like totally lax. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of what we did inside of the house was like totally lax. Like my mom and dad, I mean, for right or wrong, would just leave us. Like, they were working a lot, and so we would just be like end up being home alone for a lot of our time, and so we just had like such freedom at home. Now outside of the house, like going to friends' houses or trying to do sleepovers or going to a basketball game or to a school dance or something like that. Heck no, we're not doing that. You gotta be
none of that stuff.
No,
so more so not. With like friends, it was strict.
Yes.
Would you say that?
With literally, when I say what, like, I meant what I said, like everything inside of the house.
Yeah. So with family,
like totally like flexible, kind of, you know, anything outside of it. Nah, man, it was like iron fist.
Iron fist. What about like social media? You're 3 years older than me, so you're like a dinosaur compared to me. So did you even have MySpace?
Yeah, I had a MySpace. I had a Zynga.
Oh, I'll say I'm too young for Zynga.
Yeah, I had a Zynga. I had a MySpace. I had AOL Instant Messenger.
Oh God, remember that little like. Whatever that song was, that AOL sound was logging in.
I don't remember doing it again. Maybe it'll jog my memory. Yeah, AOL, Instant Messenger, away messages.
Oh my God, the time that you would spend on that away message, just chilling.
Time that you spend just reading other people's away messages.
Oh my God, it was so important.
Especially because you're always trying to figure out, like, is it some passive aggressive message
that
like
you're
trying to, like, you know,
like, hanging with Brittany and Jill. You're like, why wasn't I invited?
Right.
What?
Right.
They're hanging out without me?
Yep.
That's so funny. Okay. So I would say like we had similar but different childhoods, right? So I think like for us kind of having kids, it was also interesting. Because I think when we spoke about it, we kind of thought we were going to have a lot of the same rules until it started to play out. And then I would say, I think for us, it's actually one of our, maybe I'm dramatic here, but I think it's one of our most different or contentious kind of sometimes area is like how to parent. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say so. I think it's just like perspective and philosophy of it. It was different. Yeah.
Well, and I think like, I mean, again, like I didn't even realize those things were different until they happened. And I'm like, oh yeah, for sure, kids. And you're like, heck no. Or the other way around. You're like, sure, feel free. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of those kinds of moments. So, okay, let's talk about some of the rules that we have agreed on. And it's like that I don't think all parents would agree with. And that's fine. I will say there's one thing. If people don't agree with my parenting, like, am I boring you?
No.
Did you just yawn while I'm talking?
No.
You even tried to go. You tried to keep that yawn in so I didn't just see. Would you like to talk?
No, I'm listening.
Okay.
This is riveting.
Such a jerk. Anyways, I would say I don't care if people agree with my parenting philosophy.
Yeah.
It's one for me that like, I care if my kids feel singled out. Like that's what I struggle with more so. Because I don't ever want my kids to feel like isolated or things like that.
Yeah.
That's where I get more sensitive. But if a parent like just disagrees with me, I know it's what's best for my kid. I'm like, sucks for you.
Yeah.
Like I literally could not care.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
So, okay. Some of the things that work for us that maybe seem potentially unconventional to others, sleepovers. Okay. Now we've started to dabble into sleepovers a little bit right now, but in general, the rule is
no.
No, God, you were very aggressive with that. Jeez. Typically the rule is like you can have a sleepover with family members, but not friends.
Yeah, and if typically it is going to be a sleepover, it's probably going to be at our place.
Yes, well, but that's a different one for me. Like our kids can have a sleepover at our house any weekend.
Yeah.
Any day on the weekend. Because I think it's like for me, like my home feels safe and I know that it's going to be safe. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And also like we're checking it. Like we know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
Right. And you're a night owl. So you're probably going to be up all night anyways, listening to these kids. But other friends' houses, that scares me more.
Yeah.
That's one that our kids hate. Like they don't understand. Now, like I said, we've started to dabble a little bit in that this year. And then now that they're in middle school, we're like, oh my God, you yawned again.
It's because you won't let me drink any coffee anymore during these things. I know. What would you rather have? Would you rather have me slurp while I'm drinking coffee or yawning because I'm tired? I'd rather you
be a functioning member of society. I'm sick. Anyways. They've started.
Man, listen, I've been sick like this whole week. You should be like grateful that I'm even here right now. I fought through it.
Like when I'm sick, I just fight through it anyways, and I don't even take a sick day. You, on the other hand,
are waiting for your hand and foot.
Hey, babe, can you please get me some tea? I have a 99.9 degree fever.
I never said that.
That's exactly how you act.
Didn't say that.
that's how you behave.
Let's get back to the topic of the subject.
So yes, sleepovers. I would say we're dabbling, but like we don't let our younger kids do sleepovers. Like I said, it was like middle school and we kind of just started letting them.
Yeah.
And even then, most of the time, it's more so like a birthday party sleepover, things like that.
Yeah.
So, okay, what's another one? What's something unconventional that we do with our kids that maybe not everyone would agree with?
I think we don't necessarily do allowances like the way that
that's a
like
good one.
I think traditionally it's done. So for instance, like I'm not paying you to do the dishes.
Yeah, no.
Right? Because you live in this house.
Yeah.
So that's just part of being a functional member of society, of our household. Like,
yeah.
I'm not paying you to do something extra, you know?
Yeah.
And so we've kind of tried to determine like how we do allowances is for like work associated stuff. So I travel a lot for work. And so when I travel for work, I'll bring one of the boys with me and they'll essentially kind of be my travel assistant.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
like this one. Yeah. They run your book
and so
table.
They run my book table.
Yeah.
They'll, even when I'm like itinerary kind of stuff, like when the event sends me the itinerary, I usually send it to like Liam and Levi now, and they know kind of what's coming up. It's kind of weird, but like they carry my bags, like, you know, so.
You make your children carry your bags.
Yeah. That's what a travel assistant
I
does.
can't believe you do that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a bit much, but
no, it's not a bit much.
Unconventional within our marriage too.
That's no, it's very normal.
Do you give them like a top hat so they can like be your little, like, what is that called, concierge?
Chauffeur.
You like concierge,
like Alfred from Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I guess that's more a suit than a top hat.
Right. So so like they'll get paid for that.
Yeah.
Like they also
get paid for social media.
Yeah.
So because my thought is because I make money on social media, they should make money. Oh my gosh, my eyes. That they should make money on social media too. Because yeah, I think that's important. And like they take their time to like, do these videos or like to do campaigns, things like that.
Or do things above and beyond. Alfred, we're in like a little business deal right now between me and Levi. Levi knows how to like loose lace my Nikes really well. I have a lot of pair of shoes, and I wanted him to loose lace all my shoes because he did a really good job with it.
A lot of pairs.
A lot of pairs of shoes, and we're still in negotiations right now because of price that I want for all of my shoes. He's
also
driving a
quit
hard.
after 2 pairs.
He also quit after 2 pairs. Like, what are you doing?
Because he didn't agree with the price, and he was getting annoyed with your shoes. So yeah, and I like that because I think in my mind, I think part of it is also it started in this idea that like boys often do not get told to do the chores or like the house chores the same as girls. And I like strongly disagree with that. We had a family member once that came over to the house and they were shocked that like our boys did chores. And it was not necessarily, it wasn't anything bad. I think it was just like differences in how people grow up, you know? And I had to make a point. I was like, yeah, like all members in our family participate in our family and they participate in our house. And, you know, I would expect my boys when they get married one day, or if they get married one day, they have their own place one day, like to do all those things at home.
Not if they're going to have their own place.
Well, that part they'll have. I just mean, I want them to be able to know how to do their laundry, which they all do, to do the dishes, take out the trash. How to cook. That's a big one we do around here.
Yeah.
So why would I pay them to cook or take out the trash? Like, I don't get paid to do that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be nice to pay to do that stuff, but it's okay. It's totally fine. No big deal. Anyways, that's a big one. Another one is social media. Our kids do not have any social media.
That's right.
So they do technically, like their names are reserved on social media.
Yeah, their accounts are reserved.
But I run them. So like I think Liam and Levi each have one video on their accounts.
Yeah.
But literally like.
And so back to the friends, to
Not that I was having a conversation or talking.
Like, listen, they don't have social media.
Oh,
Stop harassing us to get them social media. I'm so glad that you guys have social media, but
I also see some of your social medias.
So, for just the record, they probably will not be having social media until high school.
Yeah. I feel like we're kind of undecided on like the exact moment when.
Everybody should read the book by Jonathan Haidt, Anxious Generation, which Jonathan Haidt is like a sociologist and did a lot of study and research around the impact of social media upon like the emotional well-being of humans in general, but definitely like kids, you know? And that's the thing that really convinced me. And I think one of the things that he says is like in general, hold off as long as you can, but at the very minimum, try to like wait till 15, you know?
Even Matthew McConaughey didn't get his kid until he was like 15 or 16.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. You see like a whole thing on like why, like what are you doing why is it important to put those things in the world? And they really had to sit down and talk about the purpose of social media. I would say for me, it's like, I mean, I do agree with you on that book. And I think that you like told me a lot of interesting things that were in that book. I have not read that yet. But I do in general think that like there's so much anxiety from social media. And obviously like I do social media for work and I get anxious sometimes, right? Like doing those things. And I think that I see a lot of what happens and I am pretty good at ignoring like hurtful comments. I actually have an assistant that will go in and like tries to get rid of a lot of like the really mean or like insensitive comments.
With like keywords that are blocked and stuff.
Yeah. It's like she kind of will go through and do that so that I don't have to look at that. Cause like those do hurt my feelings. And there have been times where I'm like, wow, like they all say I'm a bad mom or they all say this. And I'm like, it's random people on the internet that don't know anything about my life.
Most people say good things about me.
I'm so glad for you. You're such a brat. Anyways. So yeah, I think that there's so many reasons that our kids don't have social media. They both, like I said, have platforms. Technically, like their names are reserved. I run them. I posted the videos on there because they wanted to just create, which I like that idea. Like they can create away all they want, but I'll be posting it, reading the comments, blocking the mess out of people.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that is a big one.
Yep.
What else do we do? I would say those are two big ones. I think this is an interesting one because this differs from my childhood like immensely. The concept of an Anna. Can you tell us what an Anna is?
Big brother.
Big brother. Is that like, does it mean like little dad?
No, I mean it's just an intimate way to describe like a big brother. The connotations of the word hold more weight and responsibility than just like a big brother.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit more intimacy with it. Tamurdu is the word for tummy for little brother.
What's little sister?
Akka is big sister.
What's little sister?
Chele.
Yeah,
is little sister.
So I think for us, like there's this concept of if you are an older sibling, and this even refers to like cousins, like all of Joel's cousins will call me Brittany Akka, which the first day that they called me Brittany Akka, I didn't realize how special it would feel until they said it. And I was like, I cried. I was like, oh my God, they call me Brittany Akka. And they all still call me Brittany Akka.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like, because in Indian culture, you don't call someone by their first name if they're older than you. Right. And so it's Joey-Anna, Brittany Akka. And so I think with our kids, like we wanted to teach that responsibility. Yeah. You know, and they're like in my family growing up, like I was the big sister. I was not the mom. I had no authority. Even to this day, like it was nothing like that. Like it was a very distinct thing. Like you can babysit and like you have like some authority while I'm gone, but for the most part, it's like I'm telling mom or things like that. Right. Yeah. And so I was, what am I, like 10 and 11 years older than my siblings or than my two my younger brothers. And I like really helped raise them when they were really little, but it was just this really interesting dynamic because I wasn't the mom. Yeah. But I had a lot of the responsibility of it. So it's just this really strange kind of thing. And I would say a lot of Western cultures like that too, where it's very clear cut. You are a sibling, you have no authority. Like it's not really like this, hey, lead your sibling better. It's just different, right? Yeah. So for us, it was very much so. We've always taught our kids, especially the boys, you have a responsibility to your younger siblings. So like lead by example, help. So like you shouldn't be sitting here riling everybody up, causing problems because you know that that's going to like affect our whole family. Right. You know, or like, hey, like help do these little things and not necessarily like lose your childhood and never do things that's age appropriate
that's
for you.
The unhealthy extent that it can go to. Yeah. But yeah, there's something about a certain level of respect and responsibility that I think you learn and that's a very like intentional framework of an Indian family, you know, of like a non-Western family basically. Yeah. It's not isolated just Indians. It's an Eastern kind of thing, I think in general. It's present in other cultures. Oh, for sure. For sure. But it's the sense of, accountability and responsibility and that you don't ever just represent yourself. Yeah. That you are a representation of your family. And in the same way, like, you know, your older siblings take on that extra level of responsibility that feels parental in a sense, but it's also just like love, you know, it's an expression of love. And so, I think it's a special part that we've tried to implement with the kids that has been hard at times, but it's also been really good at times.
We've also had to take away like, hey, you have no authority over your sibling. There've been those seasons. Yep. Well, and I think that again, like there's so many extremes you can go with it where you lose out on your childhood or you take advantage and you become a little bit of a tyrant, or things like that. And I also want to touch on the concept of like your representation of your family, because I've also seen that in a really unhealthy way. Like, oh my God, you've shamed us. Like the whole Mulan thing, you're ashamed to your family, blah, 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 right?
Yeah. It's that honor shame culture deal.
Yeah. And I don't love that. I think that I don't know, that is one that I always want to like be mindful of, I guess, because I want our kids to feel free to make mistakes, and like, hey, like we've always told our kids, like, we'll forgive anything. Yeah. Like we will forgive anything. We'll move on from anything, but like be aware more. I think it's more, know your siblings watch you, right? Like I tell Liam and Levi this a lot, like your younger siblings watch you. So if you're going to go out and talk a certain way, if you're going to go out and behave a certain way with your friends, like push each other in Target carts, like little babies. Did I tell you that Levi and his friend did that? They pushed each other in Target carts around the Target and then pretended to run into different things. Yeah, it was very beautiful. I was like, you remember your siblings were going to watch this? And Luke, was like, I can't wait to go to Target with my friends. But anyway, so yeah, I think that's an important one. Like, I think we're always fine-tuning that on like how it works, what works well, what doesn't. And it's also a lot of talking to our kids. Like, hey, like what worked well here, what didn't. Yeah, that's an important one. What about you? What do you think is another one?
Oh man, I don't know. I feel like that kind of encapsulates it. I'm trying to think of anything else.
Ooh, I've got a good one.
Yeah.
We apologize to our kids.
Yeah.
That feels so dumb to say.
Yeah.
That's controversial.
Yeah, especially because you make me do it all the time.
Oh, every freaking day.
And you never do it.
I do too.
I never.
You are a liar. Ask our children. I apologize to them all the time.
I'm gonna ask them later.
Okay.
Okay.
Rude. No, I don't really remember being apologized to by my parents growing up. Were you?
No.
I was like, I don't remember. Maybe I was. I don't ever remember a time. And like as an adult, yeah, but not as kids.
Yeah.
I think for me, like, I don't know. I always want my kids to know that I am not perfect. And I think I read an article once that was talking about how if kids grow up thinking that their parents are perfect, they look at that as like, that's how I want to behave. Right? Like that's how I want to be. That's who I want to be.
Yeah, but at some point they're going to realize that they're not. Like it's almost like you're creating, it's like a balloon that is like, the more unrealistic you create that, the bigger it's getting, and eventually it's going to be too much, and the thing is going to pop.
Yeah, and then they just hate you.
And then you're like, you freaking lied to me this entire time. Like I thought that you're like freaking Superman, and you're not.
Yes. I remember Liam and I really struggled with that because Liam, I used to always laugh. Like Liam put me on this biggest pedestal. Like, don't worry, I'm off now. Trust me. But when he was little, he put me on this pedestal. So if I would ever cuss or I would, I don't even know, like have a glass of wine or like yell or just if I would do anything wrong in his eyes, like, oh my God, do you remember that? Mm-hmm. Like he would not let me live that down. And it was really big. And I finally had to sit him down as like a little kid. Hey buddy, mama's not perfect.
Right.
Like I am not perfect. I will make mistakes. Like you have to let me live my life a little bit, And so I think for me, like apologizing, like I want them to know that like, it's not okay to yell. Yeah. Now, do I yell at my kids? Yes. Right? Like I totally have a temper that I work on, they struggle with. And like, I want them to see though, rather than my mom yelled and it was fine. So I'm going to go yell at my kids. I'm going to go yell at my partner, yell at this, da, 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 da. No. My mom yelled and she apologized and she worked on it.
Yeah.
Like I would rather that. I would rather them see me trying and like striving to be something better than just see my imperfections.
Yeah.
And like me justifying that because I'm an adult. Right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's a big one. But no, and I think it's interesting because I do think though that there's this concept of parenting that like our parenting's right and everyone else's is wrong.
Yeah, it's such a, I think, unhealthy way to look at it because all of your kids are different. Your situations are different. Your circumstances are different.
Oh my God.
And so if we begin to try to create systems that are just like A plus B always equals C, you're going to be really ticked off when you come to realize that like A isn't even A. A is like C minus. It's like, what the heck? Like, how do you do this? But you get what I mean.
I'm kind of tracking with you.
Yeah. Like, and so I think instead of trying to systematizing the way that we parent and try to force everybody to fit this box of the system, just recognize like, hey, like we have to contextualize how we're going to parent based off of this kid that is presented in front of us and the unique wirings of that child. And I mean, we've experienced this with the difference between Liam, Levi, Luke, and MJ. Like they're all uniquely different. They're very similar in a lot of big ways, and they're totally different in a lot of big ways. And so we've had to adapt our parenting in different seasons to match the season of life that they're in. And that's probably part of the exhaustion, is just trying to be aware of the season of life that they're in.
Well, and I think there's always this concept of like the first kid's the guinea pig, which we were like, me and you were definitely the first kids and we were definitely the guinea pigs on a lot of these things. Mm-hmm. But I think that I've seen as a parent, like I did things a certain way with Liam because I also had a different bandwidth. I also only had one kid, mm-hmm. right? It's like I had more bandwidth to give him and to do these different things. And like more kids that I had, that bandwidth changed. Right? I needed more help in certain areas and I learned different things, but you're right, like all their personalities are so different. And if we tried to parent all of our kids 100% the same, it would be really bad for them.
Yeah, they'd be frustrated.
Right?
We'd be frustrated.
Yeah, like for example, like we don't have an age on dating. It's more like maturity, what's going on in their lives. Like
we don't have an age for the boys. Emmy has an age.
Okay.
Never.
Well, don't worry, guys. We'll help Emmy later. No, but I think that like I don't know. I remember when I first had Liam, I would go on to like Facebook groups, like mom groups a lot. And I'd be like, oh my God, like my kid isn't talking yet. Like, what do I do? And all these moms would come in and some would be super sweet. Like, it's okay. Like every kid has a different, like timeline, da, 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 da. Others would be like, oh my God, you're a terrible parent. You've not been doing this with them. You're not watching Miss Rachel. You're not doing this, that, or the other thing.
I mean, I think we felt that pretty hard with the kids too. Cause like Liam was like such a fast talker in general. And
he
like
was doing
MJ,
full sentences at like 18 months.
Right. And then MJ was like, at one point where we're like worried like she wasn't going to talk ever.
Oh yeah.
And now
but MJ
can't
was
get her
late
to stop.
Like ever. MJ was late on everything.
But I also think, and I think it was like a mutual friend where it's like, guys, think about it.
Yeah.
She's the fourth kid.
Yep.
She has no need. Like she's a point for everything because she just knew that like her brothers could read her mind and know exactly what she needed.
They did.
And so there was no like urgency to get there until she made that decision. Like, oh, I want to be the one who communicates now. Like I want to speak on my own terms.
Or I finally want to crawl, or I finally want to walk.
Yep.
Yeah. But I think that like it's so easy to get down on yourself or to feel a certain way. But I don't know. I think one of the things that we've kind of seen is it's number one, really learning our needs and our personalities. And I'm a big like Enneagram person. Like I love like the Enneagram and kind of like I'm really curious like, to see what the kids are one day. Cause I think it's cool to like, it just teaches you about yourself and, again, like your personality, what works well with others, what doesn't work well with others. I looked it up once for you and I on like a relationship between a 3 and an 8. And it basically said, don't work together. And I was like as far as like in a work setting. And I laughed and I was like, oh, that's pretty true. Like this only works because I'm the boss.
Yeah.
Admit it.
I literally said, yeah. What do you mean admit it? Doesn't make sense. Admit it. I said, yeah. Admit it. Yes. Yes, for real.
I'm just saying. Yes, for real. I'm just saying. Anyways. But no, I think it'll be interesting to see like, with the kids, like what their personality types are and how that works. And, but yeah, I don't know. It is interesting with parenting. I think that it's also about boundaries. We pretty often talk as a family, like what's working for our family, what's not, how can we like work on our relationships better, and I think it's sad too, because I think that not all families out there have that ability. Like I didn't have that ability with my family when I was younger.
Yeah.
Right. Like I didn't have a dad for a while, and my stepdad kind of came into the picture, and then my mom was like really busy working, and we had to navigate our relationships. And I didn't really have a relationship with my family that I could just sit down and be like, hey, here's what's working for me. Here's what's not. Hey, can we go to counseling? Because I think we're struggling.
Right.
And I want to give those options to our kids now. And I always say that's another one that's unconventional to some is counseling.
Oh, yeah.
Like we are huge advocates of counseling.
Yeah. We're not like reactive counseling. Yeah. We're like proactive counseling.
Yeah. Like I go to a counselor. Joel's gone to a counselor. We've gone to marriage counselors throughout our whole marriage. Our kids have all periodically gone to counseling. I think it's important. I think that, again, acknowledging that we don't know everything, acknowledging that like sometimes you need help.
Yeah. A lot of times we need help.
Right.
Yep.
And I think, I don't know, one thing that we've never done that I would really like to try eventually is like family counseling. Because I just think it's a really cool thing to do, to be like, hey, like, here's one dynamic that we maybe struggle with a little bit. Maybe it's like you're saying, like kind of being reactive
playing
with
games,
each other.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh my God, never again.
So to say that's why we need a counselor, to help you and Liam.
Do your families do that every time we play a family game? Like I grew up playing games all the time. That is one thing my family did so well, is we always played games. Like you remember coming into my family when we were dating.
Yeah, Hand and Foot.
Hand and Foot, I love that game. We'd always play games. When we play as a family, every single time someone ends up in trouble, Or we're all fighting and hate each other at the end of it.
You and Liam are fighting and hate each other.
First of all, a lot of us do. And second of all, oh my God, Liam, I don't like Liam when I play games with him. I think it's because we're the same person. Is that what you think it is?
Yeah.
Is that what you really do you think it's because we're so similar? Yeah. Or do you think it's because we're too competitive?
It's not I don't similar. Feel very competitive. There's a word for it. There's a word that you both share in common. Samesies. Stubborn. You both are extremely stubborn.
That's not true. That's rude. I'm not a stubborn person.
When you see something your way, your level of confidence in seeing that thing through is equal to Liam's. The problem is when you both see things differently.
Like Dungeons and Dragons, when you have an option on two things. We played, so Joel, we got the whole Dungeons and Dragons game, whatever, and it's like this whole like nerdy, imaginative game where Joel would have to sit there and spend so much time drawing a map, coming up with the storyline, and all these little decisions you had to make throughout the way. And each, like, it kind of he'd have an idea on like how long each decision was supposed to kind of take the group, whatever. And we start playing, and we're still learning this game. But like,
we're not learning this game anymore. We've quit this game.
I was saying we were at the time.
No, that's not what you said.
No, listen.
Play the tape back.
No, we were still learning at the time. So we go and we have the decision. It's like, hey, are you going to go left or are you going to go right? And it was like talking through it. I was like, me and Levi are like, hey, we really need to process this. Like, I'm pretty sure if we go over there, something bad's going to happen. Liam's like, no, we should just go. It's fine. Like, let's just quickly make this decision. And I was like, no, literally, what if something happens? Like, think about the way that Dad said it. Like, we're like, Levi and I are like really getting into it. We're processing. I'm probably egging Levi on, like really making him like get analytical in this. Liam's like, let's go. Luke's like, let's go, just because he's like piggybacking off of Liam. Finally, after 30 minutes, Liam and I are like bickering, and I'm yelling at Liam, and you know, he's yelling at me. Like, we're going back and forth. And finally, Joel's like, okay, we're done for today. And I was like, why? We're playing the game. You're like, that decision was supposed to take like 30 seconds. Nothing was going to happen.
Yeah, literally.
You got really rude. You should actually apologize.
I'm good.
Did you just look at your watch?
I'm good.
Anyways, but yeah, that is it.
That's it.
That is it. And we can end it on this. What is our family motto?
Don't be an idiot.
Don't be an idiot. You know that I teach every one of the kids' friends out when they come over to my house?
Yes, I know.
I will say, okay, guys, I'm going to teach you one thing, and there is just simply one rule at my house. There's actually a lot of rules at my house, but there's one rule that you have to remember at my house, and that is the family motto. And I make everyone recite it. I even went to, I don't know if this is supposed to happen. I went to Levi's school field trip, and I had like a little group of like 8 kids, and I taught them at the very beginning. I said, guys, we're going to have a lot of fun today. And it was like somewhere where I had to like take them to this whole like museum and all this stuff. I said, we're going to have a lot of fun today, but I'm going to teach you my family motto. And I said it, and I said, I told them, don't be an idiot. And then I said, okay, I'm going to have you guys all repeat it back to me. Now, what is the family motto today? And they all said it, and I didn't realize the teacher walked by right at that moment.
Awesome. That's probably why you've never been asked to come back.
I have a feeling that's true. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining us today. I'm sure we have other unconventional things that we do in our lives.
What are your unconventional things?
Ooh.
Let us
like
know.
In parenting or just in general?
Yeah, parenting. What are your unconventional parenting things?
What if they're children?
Huh?
What if they're children?
I don't really care.
I care about you all. I'm so sorry. You're validated. If you are a child and if you're not a parent, what are unconventional things that your family and parents did with you growing up? See how that works? You just flip the table and just...
Tag her, because I honestly don't care.
That's so rude. Anyways, bye guys.